As we push through another harvest season, it can be easy this time of the year to get in a hurry from time to time. However, being in a rush can, of course, lead to some safety oversights. Market Journal's Bill Dodd recently spoke with an extension educator to get some tips when it comes to harvest safety.
As our state producers continue to push through another harvest season, it may be easy to get in a hurry from time to time. However, being in a rush can sometimes lead to oversights in safety. According to the CDC, 368 farmers and farm workers lost their lives to work-related injuries in 2020. That number translates to a staggering 18 deaths per 100,000 workers. Most notable among those statistics was the fact that transportation incidents are the leading cause of those fatalities.
So probably one of the first things when we look at harvest safety is just slowing down. And that's not just for our farmers, but that's everybody on the road. We're in a hurry. We want to get where we're going, whether we're late for a ball game or whatever the situation is. We have slow moving traffic, combines, tractors. They can only go so fast. So being patient and kind and waiting for them. But even as us as farmers trying to get our combines and everything to the field and getting everything done before the weather changes, we sometimes get in a rush too. So slow down, take your time. But when you're on the road, I don't care who you are, make sure you're signaling correctly, making sure that you're not looking at devices. It doesn't take very long to go 100 feet or a quarter of a mile when the tractor in front of you can only go 15 miles per hour and you're going 65, 70. It's a blink of an eye. Then the other big thing for all of our producers that are moving equipment, if you can, try to not do it during those high traffic times. So when we know the kids are going to and from school, try to avoid dusk because it's hard to see. Make sure you have all your flashers on and just take your time is my biggest thing when it comes to road safety and harvest right now.
Naturally, when harvesting grain, it will need to be stored somewhere. And with that in mind, grain bin safety should be a top concern for producers.
So grain storage as a whole, when we're looking at, as we're putting it on those grain carts, they're heavy loads. Making sure we're trying to make sure those loads are even. And if we're on uneven terrain, making sure we're taking that turn correctly so we don't overload it or tip the grain cart or the trucks or any component like that. Now, once we get to where we're going to store the grain, whether it's a grain bin, harvest store, open pit, be aware of where those augers are at. Be aware of PTO shafts in particular. Make sure we don't get loose lying equipment in there. If we run into situations in grain bins and we need to climb in there because something isn't going right, please, please, please do not go in there by yourself. That needs to be a two-person team because that grain can shift very quickly. You can be entrapped, and if you have nobody with you, they don't know it. And in all reality, if you're going to climb in the bin, the recommendation is that you have a safety harness on as you go into those bins. That way, if we do have a collapse, we have a way to pull you out of that bin. The other big components, think about where all the safety equipment is at, where is electrical shutdowns. If for some odd reason the sweeper arms aren't working right, the PTO shafts or the augers aren't working correctly, know how to turn those off quickly and rapidly. And the other one with when we're looking at grain bins and all the augers, the one thing a lot of guys don't want to talk about is hearing protection. It is loud. It is extremely loud. Trying to wear some type of ear protection is really critical. I'm really going to advise if you have your kids or grandkids out there working, helping you out, 8, 9, 10 years old, we really need to be protecting their ears because they only get that hearing once, and we don't want them saying, "What?" at the age of 15, nearly as much as possible. So those are some steps around the grain bin that we want to take into consideration as we go through the harvest season.
As harvest season has progressed in Nebraska, the weather has remained particularly dry this year, which has been good news for producers who want to get their crop out of the field with little delay. However, a lack of moisture drying down crops coupled with high winds is a perfect recipe for accidental fires.
Number one is just basically maintenance, making sure we're maintaining our combine, making sure everything is running good and properly the way it's supposed to. Number two is cleaning up your machine at the end of the day. But if we think about it, we get all those corn leaves and soybean debris, especially up around those exhaust manifolds. It's extremely, extremely hot, especially with the emission rates and how they have to combust. with it being so hot, if we don't remove that debris and it's always standing there, that's a place for it to ignite. The other place we can see debris ignite is around all those bearings. We know bearings are going to go out. We can't always predict those, but they get hot. So just daily maintenance and cleaning that component off around those high flammable areas really helps reduce your risk. And then the number three, is really, once again, coming into cleanliness of that combine. We're going to be changing out oil filters. We have to change oil. Try to make sure that if we spill oil, that we're cleaning it up and not just leaving it on the platforms or on the side of the combine. Once again, it's highly combustible. We get a little bit of a spark, it isn't going to take much for it to go poof, and then we're going to be in a dire situation.
As producers continue to work diligently through this critical time of year, the top priority during harvest season should first and foremost be safety and fire prevention. Reporting for Market Journal, I'm Bill Dodd.